All right, all right. So let's get going for today. This is the last show of the week. And so what we're going to do is go over again the 72 red flags that you need to know if you need help in your marriage, basically. Okay. So first of all, what is marriage coaching? Marriage coaching focuses on goals and actions to draw your spouse back to you. It focuses on building skills and habits to improve yourself in order to again become valuable to your spouse as a husband or wife. Most coaches focus on the spouse that wants to save the marriage, which means they don't need the other spouse that is uninterested in the marriage to participate. This is why it is important as a husband to get yourself right first and learn how to be a great husband, which will interest your wife again in the relationship. Then, marriage counseling can be very helpful. This is why marriage coaching doesn't focus on feelings but facts, goals, skills, and habits, which means that the person will become a better spouse as they reach each goal, increasing the chance greatly that they will save their marriage and draw their spouse back to them. And so, real quick, from the other shows, we've had 3 shows so far where we went through 1 through 10, then 11 through 20, and then yesterday, the last show, we went through 21 through 30. And so, real quick before the break, we're going to review those, and then we're going to get into the next set of things why you need marriage help. Okay. So let me find it. So, number 1 reason is you have no masculine support. Number 2, if you believe you have a great marriage. Number 3, you need marriage coaching if you believe you have a good marriage. Number 4, if you have a mediocre marriage. Number 5, if you have a bad marriage. Number 6 reason that you need marriage coaching help is if your marriage has no passion or excitement, if you are a bad or inadequate lover. Number 8, if your wife sleeps in a separate bedroom. Number 9, if your children are disrespectful. Number 10, if your wife has asked for a divorce. If you want to get more into depth with those, that you will see. Oh, yes, episode 200 is the first 1 through 10. Okay, the second 10 is if your wife has left your home, you need marriage help. If you have been married more than once, you need marriage coaching. If you don't understand your purpose and mission as a man, which is number 13. Number 14, if you don't enter spiritual warfare for your marriage. Number 15, if your wife has filed an annulment. And number 16, if you have a problem with the Catholic or Christian faith. Number 17, if you are divorced. Number 18, if you have not made love in more than 30 days. Number 19, reason you need marriage coaching, if you have not been to confession in more than 1 year. And number 20, if your wife disrespects you. So for that, those more in depth from 11 through 20, that was episode 201. Okay. Now, 21 through 30. If you and your wife argue more than once per year, you should get marriage coaching. If you have an anger problem, which is number 22. 23, if you are depressed, you need marriage coaching. If you and your wife have generally bad communication, you definitely need to get marriage help. Number 25, if the couple has intimacy outside the bedroom issues. Number 26, if you are a Catholic and she is a Protestant or vice versa. Number 27, reason you need marriage coaching, you can't agree on how to raise your children. Number 28, you can't agree on how to discipline the children. And number 29, your kids don't talk to you. Number 30, you feel you married the wrong woman. Okay. And for that is episode 202, which is part 3. So now we are into part 4. And when we come back from the break, we will hit numbers 31 through 40. So hang out. Let's do this. Bam. If you're getting value from this podcast and would like more personal marriage help, visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com for an opportunity to work with me personally for free. Yes, within 30 days, learn how to become a better husband that attracts your wife back to you. Visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com and get a plan tailored specific to your marriage and situation. I've helped hundreds of men in their marriages. Allow me the chance to help you using my personal and gained experience. Visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com for superior coaching for your marriage. Again, SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com. That's SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com to become the man God created you to be and the husband your wife needs. Lastly, I always get the question, why don't you help women? And I always answer them, I do. So, for all of you beloved wives out there that want to reignite that feeling of emotional closeness and complete love from your hubby, consider marriage coaching and visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com for an improved marriage within 30 days. All right. Hey. We are back, fellas. So, as promised, the top 72 warning signs that you must get marriage coaching for your marriage before it degrades. Remember, the farther the marriage degrades, the harder it is to recruit and make it better. For this reason, procrastinating is not an option. Men come to me all the time and I tell them truthfully their situation because most men come to me and they have no idea what their real situation is. They tell me, okay, I will think about it. I then tell them that there is no more time for thinking. They go away anyway. Then, after a month or a couple of years, they email me back begging me to help them because their wife has actually filed for divorce and they have a court date and the marriage has degraded to almost nothing, or they are divorced, or their wife has filed for annulment or whatever. So now they expect me and the Holy Spirit to work a miracle for them when they could have gotten help immediately and had a high chance of stopping all of his wife's plans. I don't want this for you. I really don't. It is important that you listen to these 72 red flags and not believe that you have time to continue to contemplate the state of your marriage. That time has passed. You no longer have time to sit there and research the research. You ain't got time to still keep going on the internet every day. Oh, my marriage is bad. My marriage is bad. Then trying to go through all these free things and trying to do all the free stuff, thinking that you're going to be able to fix this. And that's not how it works. Okay. People give you free stuff to analyze your situation, to see if you got to have the heart to fight for this for real, and to see if you're willing to really go and put in the work to actually do stuff and not waste people's time. Because that's what a lot of guys like to do. They just want to emote about their marriage. They don't want to take those steps to fix it. And I'm telling you, marriage coaches don't have time for that. Maybe counselors do, marriage counselors, but marriage coaches, we're about focusing on results and goals, habits, and skills. This is how you get your wife back. This is how you get your family back. Not contemplating and keep researching for 2 years and 3 years and 10 years on why your marriage is bad. Okay, there comes a time where research has to be over and you have to become a man of action. Okay. If you have even one of these items, your time is short and running out. I currently suggest that you find a marriage coach, take money with you, and get ready to bear down for a lot of hard work. Remember that women plan years in advance on leaving, and once they decide on leaving, divorce or annulment, you are not going to change their mind because they have planned for at least a year to leave. So, what does that mean? It means that your begging and pleading and claiming ignorance will not work because she only sees that you are thinking of yourself and trying to ruin her carefully laid plans. For this reason, I ask that you take what I am going to give you very seriously and remove your ego and get down to work and note, not later, but right now. And lastly, these are not in any particular order. We will cover uh, items 31 through 40 of the warning signs today that you need marriage coaching help. Now, look, fellas, I'm not joking. Marriage coaches don't joke around. We're very serious. Like me, I joke around a lot, and we get us to laughing, and we have a good time in our sessions, on this podcast, and in our one-on-one sessions, in the group sessions. We do a lot of laughing. But believe it or not, if you don't have help right now, you need help, and there's no more time for joking. All right. So please do me a favor and just listen to the things I'm going to say today. I'm going to give you 10 more reasons of the red flags that you probably need some kind of marriage help. And again, take it to heart and really contemplate what's going on. So before the break, we did review the first 30. So now we're going to start with 31. So number 31, that you need marriage coaching. You are having an emotional affair, which is on my thumbnail today, because emotional affairs are crazy. This is why I got you here, because, emotional affairs are crazy and they sneak up on us, don't they? Many times we don't even realize it's happening until we find ourselves with an emotional connection with the other person. Okay. When you as a husband are in an emotional affair, it usually means that your wife is neglecting you in some way, and the other woman shows you respect, attention, and it's enjoyable for you to talk to. We've all been there, right? When we are married, this is the trap of the devil. Emotional affairs destroy trust. The way to overcome this is to begin having conversations with your wife about your concerns. I got a guy signed up another guy a few months or two ago, signed him up in my program, and the reason, what his wife's last straw was? Emotional affair. She called him, and she was like, "No, that's it. I'm tired. I'm done with you." All of a sudden, he got serious. Okay. And this is where I need you men to understand. Get serious before it's time to get serious. Okay. you know, Stop procrastinating. Emotional affairs are very bad. In the eyes of God, emotional affairs are just as bad as physical affairs. Why? Because you are giving your heart, mind, and soul to another person other than your spouse. Jesus Christ, as well as St. Paul, said we are supposed to leave our parents, go and become one flesh together. That means we are one flesh. Your body belongs to her body belongs to you. We're not to allow anything or anyone, or including kids, best friends, parents, workmates, all these things to come in between us and our beloved. And if you are having an emotional affair right now as a husband, do your best to get rid of it, because there's nowhere that's leading you nowhere but to hell, man. And guess what? What can it accomplish? Let's be logical. You know, Feelings get in the way as a man. It is not our job to think with feelings, it's our job to think with our brain and our logically. And when we have emotional affairs, you got to ask yourself, where can this affair go? I mean, is this going to be the rest of my life? Am I going to be like engaged in this for the rest of my life? What about when my kids find out? What about when my parents find out? What about when my wife starts telling everybody? See, then it's out in the open. That's the thing about evil. Once you put evil out in the open, then people see it, and then they can decide if they're going to fight it or let it go. But either way, it's out in the open. And now, when we thought we was getting away with something, we really wasn't. Okay. So number 32 reason that you need marriage coaching: you are having a physical affair. People think that physical affairs are much worse than emotional affairs. I beg to differ, and so does God. The reason why is physical affairs most of the time deal with needs of, like sexual needs, whereas emotional affairs are what? Huh. You're giving away your heart, mind, body, and soul to that person. It's hard to get that back. A physical affair is tough too. We consider our spouse, you know, in the in intimacy with another person. That's very tough. But both of these are mortal sins in the eyes of God when you're married. As a husband, all our physical affairs are exciting. And the reasons we have them usually stem from the same reasons as in an emotional affair. We feel our wife is not being the woman we need, and so we allow another woman to attempt to fill that void. Again, the way to end this is conversations, and for you to ignite the fire and passion in your wife. This is the problem with physical affairs as well as emotional affairs, and why you need help getting out of them is if you're a husband and you're engaged in them, is because men, we have not been taught how to be good husbands and fathers and how to survive in marriage, how to thrive in marriage. So what we usually do is everything's our wife's fault. If she doesn't make love to me right, if she doesn't give sex to me when I want, if she doesn't talk to me right, if she nags me, if she doesn't go to work when I tell her to, she doesn't cook right, we focus on she's gotten fat, whatever. Like we're in this habit of these days as men looking at everybody else before we look at ourselves. And when you are married, you cannot do that. That is the road to hell. That's the road to an ended marriage and an ended family too. And so the thing about it is, you're right. If you want passion in your marriage, you want fire in your marriage, you want to have that excitement in your marriage, then you, as the husband, got to start it. You start it. Anytime as a man you want something better in your marriage, if you want it, and 99% of the time you'll get it if you are the one that starts it. Why? Because you're the leader, dude. If you want, you can't be waiting around for your wife to do something. She probably even know that you want what you want most of the time. And if you do tell her what you want, you're probably blaming her and criticizing her, and you're not speaking to her the proper way. So she just kind of like tunes you out. So listen, I'm not saying, I understand that when as men, when we have our needs, we're not getting respected. We're not, things are not happening in our marriage, in our life the way we want and need. Believe it or not, there's no better person than your wife to confide in all these things in. Make your wife your partner and your lover and your friend and your confidant, and you'll be surprised that she will rise to the occasion. But I realize when we call her names, when we raise our voice in anger, when we neglect and all that stuff, then we start to lose her slowly over the years, and then we don't even remember why she doesn't love us anymore, or why I don't love her, you know. And so this is what I'm trying to get you guys to realize: your life is important. Everything in your life is never, it's not, nothing in your life is a coincidence. Everything happens for a reason, and that includes every single thing in your marriage. Every decision you make, every one, it means something. Okay. Okay. Number 33. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't forget number 30. I'll give you number 32. So selfishness is all a physical affair is. It is. The world tells us that love conquers all. This is a load of crap and completely narcissistic. Okay. Physical affairs are completely narcissistic. That's extreme selfishness. We only care about ourselves when we do this. We don't care about our wife or God or our family, just our own wants, desires, and needs. And that is what your wife wants to be to you. Your wife wants to be the woman of your dreams, but you must be honest with her. Moreover, when we engage in sexual affairs with another woman, we usually fail to consider our children and the effect of this on our wife and our kids. Our families are already in shambles if we are having an affair. Just think how chaotic it will be when everyone finds out, is what I just said earlier. All right. So, man, this is why we have to know our purpose as a man and our mission. If we want respect, if we want devotion, if we want love and care from our wife, then we have to earn that every single day. Okay. And what does that do? What that does is chisels you as a man. You become a man of God, a holy man that that your wife is chiseling off all the imperfections of your soul, so that you and her together can move towards God and be in the beatific vision with him at the end of your life. This is what the goal is, man. The goal is not to be with some floozy man that she's a home wrecker, dude. That's what she is. She knows you married, you know. So that's all I'm saying is, think about the things that I'm saying. And if you have this kind of problem, please get you can call me right now too. But the main thing is, man, speak to your wife. You know, let her know how you feel and what's going on. We have to learn to talk to our wife. If you want your wife to talk to you and be open to you, then you must start to be open, and allow your feelings and what you think as a man to be inserted into her mind. Okay. Now, number 33, that you may need marriage help is your wife doesn't want to spend time with you. If your wife doesn't want to spend time with you, you must ask yourself why. Why would a woman just a few years ago who couldn't get enough of you now can stand to be with you in the same room with you, or will only hang out if you and her are with the children? And but see, this happens slowly too, doesn't it? This happens slowly too. Like, you don't even realize that your wife doesn't want to spend time with you. Why? Because you're doing everything you can to not spend time with her, right? You might go going golfing more, fishing more, hanging out at work more, going to the bars with your buddies, or even hang out with the kids more, and you're not hanging out with her because you don't want to. But the thing about it is, she don't want to hang out with you either. So what you got to do as a husband is ask yourself why, and then move to fix it. Okay. Number 34, your wife doesn't talk to you or has shut down. Many times when our wives don't talk to us or shut down stems from two things. One, she feels we won't change and won't ever listen to her or value her opinion. And number two, the emotional connection for her is gone, and she can't figure out or could care less how to get it back. This is what happens when we take our wives for granted, or our wives take us for granted, because this could be flipped really easy. But you know, our wives doesn't think we're going to listen, don't think we're not going to change, and so they just shut down. They don't care no more, and they don't even want to get the emotional connection back because they're tired of trying. This is how women get. This is how men get too. But we're not talking about men. We're talking about women. This is how women get. They start to feel like, I've tried all I can. I've done all I can. He neglects me. He takes me for granted. So obviously he doesn't love me, because if he loved me, he wouldn't treat me that way. That's how it works. And so when the emotional connection leaves, your wife can't figure out how to get it back. So she's like, in her mind, I need to get rid of him, or I need to figure out how to get out of here, or figure out how to get him out of here. And or a lot of times, because they don't even care about even getting emotional connection back. Okay. Number 35, your wife doesn't go to mass or church. So in the Catholicism, church is called mass. It's not called church. Okay. The reason it's called mass is because it's the mass of people coming to worship God. And then, of course, Protestants call it church. Okay. So your wife doesn't go to mass/church. This is from hell and is giving Satan exactly what he wants for your marriage. Usually, when a woman loses the emotional connection with her husband, or she feels her marriage is done, the first casualty is her relationship with God, especially if her faith was already mediocre or weak in the first place. Men forget that they are the ones that lead the marriage and the family towards God. And when they fail to do so, they lose the grace that was infused into the marriage at the wedding, because marriage is a sacrament. Women don't marry us to have tons of kids, wash dishes, take out trash, have bad sex, and work hours upon hours at some job. They marry us for our love, and when that is gone, in many cases, so are they. When a woman has weak faith or mediocre faith, sometimes even when she has strong faith, when she loses emotional connection with her husband, or she loses her marriage, one of the first casualties is her relationship with God. She don't want to have nothing to do with God no more. Well, I lost my husband. It's kind of God's fault, or God didn't keep us together. So, the same old thing that we all do when things get bad. Same thing when babies die, or when the 9/11, when the center, the what do you call it, the towers burnt down or whatever. It's all God's fault. Why would God allow such evil in the world? That kind of thing. And so that's kind of how a weak faith person or a person who's not strong in their faith, that's how they think. They think that, it's God's fault if why didn't my marriage work out? And a lot of times too, I get the question was, you know, why, am I supposed to stay married to this woman when we're having all these problems and can't get along? See, that goes back to not understanding God and his church and our Lord Jesus Christ, because first thing we want to do is, in order to get out, our brains start to rationalize, well, if we can't get along, we shouldn't be together. That's not true. That's not true. That just means that you and her don't understand how to make it work. Again, remember, marriage is a suffering. Marriage is not to be supposed to be pleasurable and happy and all, like ecstatically joyful all the time, because then you wouldn't learn nothing. You wouldn't learn nothing. Remember, you and your wife, one of your main jobs as a man is to help get your wife's soul to heaven. And the only way we do that is she has to cooperate with you and you have to cooperate with her, which is what she's chiseling your imperfections and you are chiseling her imperfections. And that's how you become one flesh, man, that you learn how to become together as one person. God says when you get married, you are one person. You are not two anymore. But most people today, they don't think that because of selfishness. I don't even understand why people get married. It doesn't make sense. If you're a selfish person, don't get married. If you're a selfish person, don't live with somebody and then waste their life. Get yourself together before you get into relationships. If you're a selfish person, do not get married. Don't date nobody. And please don't move in with somebody, because you're just going to ruin their life until you get your mindset together, until you start to grow as a person. And so this is kind of how it works, okay? So number 36 of the reasons red flags that you need marriage coaching, you are in a sexless marriage. A sexless marriage means that you and your wife make love less than 10 times per year, or basically less than once per month. If you have not made love in more than 30 days, it is definitely time for marriage coaching. Why? Because the emotional connection in your marriage is all but gone. And for your wife, this is most important. This is the most important thing for her in the marriage. And again, once it is gone, the odds are your wife will leave with it. Now, look, I get it all the time. People don't think sex is important. They think it's just okay. Well, it's a pleasurable thing. It's like going to play golf or watching football or eating or hanging out with my girlfriends, for women, that kind of thing. No, that is not sex. Is tons way more than that. First of all, sex with you and your wife renews your marriage vows and your connection with God every time when you make love. This is why God's important in your bedroom. Okay. And so when you and your wife aren't making love, you aren't connected with God as a couple fully, and you're losing the emotional connection that bonds you two together. Remember, unity of the spouses is the third reason God created marriage. And it's important that we understand that. Okay. Intimacy outside the bedroom, connection, conversations, holding hands, going on dates, spending time together, just you and her, spending time together with the kids and having fun and excitement. That's important to ignite the sex inside the bedroom. Remember that God should be inside your bedroom because you need that grace to bond together and to keep that to flow out into the world, into your family. The more you and your wife connect and love and care for each other, the more people look at you and go, that's the kind of marriage I want. Your kids look at you and go, that's the kind of marriage I want. See my mom and daddy? They love each other. And I ask you, when your kids look at you, do they see them? Do they want to get married? When your kids look at you and your wife, do your kids think, well, I want to get married because my mom and daddy, man, they have a great marriage and that's what I want. They're going through this life together. They're loving each other and they're in this great marriage and they're showing us how to love each other. This is another thing that people don't really realize too. You should be kissing your wife in front of your kids. You should be holding your wife's hand in front of your kids. You should be hugging your wife in front of your kids. You should be sitting close to your wife in front of your kids. It's important so that your sons especially learn how to treat their wife. if every time your kids see you and she's in the living room and you're in the kitchen, or you never even approach each other to hold hands or hug or nothing, you don't go on walks together, you don't do nothing. Then how are kids supposed to go? People always say, "Well, the one I give is my wife." Well, my wife isn't a very touchy person. That's not true. She ain't touchy with you. Because we allow we get what's the word, we get too comfortable, and we don't realize that it takes effort every single day to create a great marriage. And this is the problem: if you don't know how to create a great marriage, you need to find somebody that does and follow them. This is the best way to learn. If you want to be a great athlete, what do? I used to love Magic Johnson. To me, he's the greatest player ever. Sure, he's not as athletic as Michael Jordan or Dr. J or whoever. But you know what? There's nobody on the planet that knew how to bring everybody on the team, 10, 12 guys together on a team, and make them all feel part of a team. And how to get everybody involved in the game, not just set up in the triangle or set up one-on-one and back a guy down and do all this crap they do today. If Magic Johnson played today, he would be kicking all these guys' butt. You know why? Because every time his bench would be 7, 8, or 9 deep, and every time everybody came in the game, he'd make sure they got an assist or a rebound or a 2-point bucket. They all work as hard as they could for 82. For how many games is it? 86 games or whatever it is, 82 games. And they go through the playoffs and just run everybody off the court. You know why? Because they're an actual team. And this is what it comes down to today. When if you are in a sexist marriage, it's the same kind of concept. You and your wife have to work together, man, to make your marriage look great for your children, so that they want to have a great marriage. They want to have grandkids, and they want those grandkids to have a great marriage. And it just goes on and on and on. All right. So I'm sorry I got off to the basketball thing, man, but I miss Magic Johnson. I miss players like that. So next, number 37, that you need marriage help, marriage coaching, is your wife is premenopause or is in menopause. Many men have no idea how to handle menopause and what it means for his wife and her body, and what it means for their sex life, and how it changes the way his wife thinks about many things, including intimacy. Also including him, the kids, her marriage, and her life. When a woman is in menopause, man, things change, man. Her outlook change. Why? Because she becomes infertile. Like men, we are fertile until we die. Everybody knows that. What many don't know is fertility in men and women. When we're fertile, we have our hormones. It creates a drive in us to connect and bond and create. And so when women reach menopause or they start having menopausal symptoms, as a man, you've got to understand that stuff. Because if you don't understand it, you're going to start thinking that your wife hates you, that she don't want to make love to you, that all these bad things that we start thinking when our wife rejects us intimately or we're not intimate with each other. Also, you got to realize with women, like I said, it changes the way she thinks about you as her husband, how she thinks about the kids, how she thinks about her marriage, and even her life. This is why a guy come home one day and his wife gives him divorce papers, and he don't even know why. Because women go through midlife crisis just like men do, but menopause is one of the reasons it causes that. And so if you're a man and you don't understand that, and you don't understand that's coming, like right now, if your wife is 40 or above, it's coming. It's coming, and you better prepare for it. So how do you prepare for it? One thing you start to do is you start to bond closer with your wife, connect closer with her. Learn how to make love to her outside the bedroom so she feels loved, so she feels cared for, that she can count on you. This is a hard bond to break, even for menopause. Why do you think that your wife is always out talking to her so-called best friend, her co-workers and stuff? Because those relationships she feels that she can count on. And so when her life starts turning upside down, she has no hormones and she's not fertile anymore and all this kind of stuff. You need to be a more caring, loving, and considerate husband so that when these stupid feelings, all these crazy emotions start hitting her, she keeps her mind straight. I'm not leaving my husband. My husband loves me. But if you one of them dudes that for the last 10 or 15 years have neglected her, had emotional affairs, called her names, you're not close, you're not bonding, your marriage is mediocre, there's no fast passion or fire in it, well, it's easy to leave you. Y'all don't talk, you don't share. It's easy to leave you. It's easy. Okay? So menopause and premenopausal symptoms are very important. Every man should know when their wife is having menopausal symptoms, hot flashes. She stops her period, her menstrual cycle. If you don't know that stuff, you're not being a husband. You're not being a man, dude. You really need to understand this. You're trying to look, your goal is to keep your family together. And without your wife, you have no family. Don't get it twisted. And I would tell a woman the same thing. Without your husband, you don't have a family. You just broke it up. It's over. And you two got to work together to make sure that doesn't happen. Why? Because for God, number one, and for your children. You will lose your children if you divorce. You will. First of all, if the kids don't pick sides, that's another thing. If kids don't pick sides, oh my God, it's hell. Kids start picking sides and stuff. Why do we put our children through this? Because too immature. We're 30 and 40 and 50 and 60, 70, 80 years old, and we act like two kids, 2-year-olds that can't get along. And we only think about ourselves, and guess who gets hurt God gets hurt for one, because he loves you. And he loves you and wants you and your marriage and your wife to get along and love each other and your family to be great. And then you hurt your children. Not just after that, then after the children, you hurt what? You hurt society. We hurt society when we have a failed marriage. We do. Okay? The reason Satan got thrown out of heaven and got put in hell is because of his pride and his ego. And 99% of the time, the reason people can't get along is because they got their ego in between them and in between themselves. And please just try to understand. If your marriage is in hell right now, you can fix it. You can get it working again. Okay? But what you got to do, man, is you got to get your ego out of the way first and get some empathy, some support, and some sympathy going and understanding what your wife is going through. That's why menopause, that's what marriage, real quick. Again, if your wife is 40 years old or older, you should be looking for this now. All right? Okay. Number 38, gentlemen. Number 38 that you probably need marriage coaching is your wife has asked for a divorce or has hired a lawyer. Okay, this is a no-brainer. Okay. But most men still don't get it. I'm going to tell you why. When this happens, their ego and pride gets in the way and they begin to fight their wife instead of asking the masculine question of why is she doing this? Your wife has asked for a divorce because she is tired of the pain, neglect, the going nowhere marriage, and she is trying to force her husband to change. But his ego just can't see it. Many times because he is thinking of all the new women he can hang out with. Again, this is Satan. And in his head, this is Satan in his head. And now Satan has him, his wife, his marriage, and now his children. I ask, is this the authentic masculinity? Is this authentic masculinity or is it cowardice? The reason women ask for divorce is not because they want to divorce a man. It's not it. The reason women ask for divorce, man, is they are trying to force their husband to look at the marriage, look at them, and realize what he has in a wife and to get him to get things together, to get him to show her that she's loved and cares. And the only thing that she can think of to do, because that's all anybody else does, is they file for divorce or they move out or they take your kids to another state or whatever. This is why women ask for divorces. People look at it's like going to the doctor, these days. Almost every doctor you goes for, they treat symptoms. They don't treat the disease, man. They don't think about what I just said. In the older time, natural hygienist doctors, they would treat the disease, but see, and then people would get better. They allow the body to heal itself. Today, what doctors do, because, well, they are paid to give out drugs, and we all know it. So it's no big mystery. They are paid to treat the symptoms. They treat the symptoms. Why? Because people will not suffer for no time at all. Okay? And so this is what we have to realize, that when we treat the symptoms in our marriage, that is not the problem. Is we have to go deeper. Like, why is our wife hire a lawyer? Why does she give me divorce papers? Not because she's having an affair, not because her friends necessarily told her to, not because her parents not whatever. It's really because there's deeper issues for what ails her. And as a husband, because we are her protector, it is our job to find out and not sit there and blame and fight and criticize and yell at her. And you'll be surprised. If you can get your wife to talk, she'll probably drop the divorce if she trusts you, if she starts trusting you again. Okay? 2 more. Number 39, you and your wife are not best friends. This one is so huge that it is a holy lover gift in my program. What is a holy lover? A holy lover is you being the man God created you to be, and you being the husband your wife needs. And if you are not her best friend, she will find someone who will be and tell them all of your business and the interaction in your marriage and family. Would you rather that be you? See, man, guys kill me. They get all mad like their wife is up there telling everybody about their business and stuff, about their marriage and the good, the bad stuff and all that stuff. And then they get mad at their wife. See, man, if you don't understand women, then you can't understand why she's doing this. She's doing this because she can't talk to you. That's one of the major reasons. So this is what I'm saying. If you and your wife ain't best friends, guess what she gonna do? She gonna tell her best friend, whoever it is, her high school boyfriend, her elementary school best friend, little girl that she didn't know for 50 years. That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna go tell them all the business. And there are a lot of husbands like me. I'm private. Like I don't, I don't like my personal stuff. I know I tell you a lot of my personal stuff, but like still, I'm kind of like I don't like that a lot about when I'm with intimate stuff between me and my wife. A lot of times, a lot of guys are like that. So they don't like men. A lot of men don't like their wives going out telling people stuff. And so if in order to prevent that, what you got to do as a man is you got to become her confidant. You got to listen. You can't be interrupting her. You got to let her talk. And then she starts to depend on you. She ain't got to go have no other best friend because you're her best friend. You're the one who she feels close to and wants to tell and discuss things with. And she's not afraid to tell her inner feelings and needs and wants and desires too. Okay? Then being the best friends is the only way to prevent this. Being best friends is the only way to prevent your wife from going out and doing these kind of things. Now, I'm not saying it's going to cut it off all the way, but you'll be one of the first ones to know when things are wrong. Also, if your wife's current best friend is a man, you have double trouble. I can't tell me guys I know, they wife's best friend's a man. Now, we all know men because we one of them. We know what that means. Most of the time that means that, yeah, I love her, I want her, she's my best friend and stuff, whatever. I just didn't have the opportunity. I was the punk and I want to be the one to be with her, but I was a punk. And then, her husband came along and snapped her up because I messed around too long. If a woman don't know you like her, then y'all ain't together. You know, as a friend, if you're a woman's friend and you want to be with her, there's comes a time when you got to say, hey, you got to take a chance. I want her. I want her, right? I want her, but you got to tell her I want her, because if she's just going to look at you as friends, there's got to be a next step. Okay. So if your wife's best friend is a man, fella, you got to start to take care of that. You got to keep an eye on that. I'm not saying don't trust your wife, but listen, I'm from the old school, and many people who are in church are from the old school, and they know when a man and woman are close, then eventually what it leads to. I mean, you can look at it how you want to, but I don't you don't see me with around no other women, and my wife around no other men, unless we both know about it and we're in the car or whatever. Because it's not that we don't trust each other. It's just that we know we ain't stupid. We know where that stuff leads to. And then we'll look up and go, oh, that was a mistake. Oh, it wasn't no mistake. All right, fellas, last one, and we are done for the show. So, number 40 reason that you need marriage coaching. If your wife has asked you to move out, we just covered this a couple months ago, or maybe a month ago. If you've had this request to move out, and you did move out, the chances of reconnection with your wife is slim if you don't get help, especially if you have no help or support or guidance to help rebuild the emotional connection with your beloved. Many times this will be you in some small apartment somewhere, or at your mom and dad's house, feeling depressed and wondering what happened to your life. And once you realize this important question, you will begin to wonder how to get your life back. And I must say, with marriage coaching help, the odds are you never will get it back. Okay, without marriage coaching. Okay, when you move out, it's a lot of things that happen. It's a lot of things that happen, man, and it's sad. And then what happens to most men to a T, I want you to move out. Okay, I'm going to move out. I'm going to be the little puppy dog, and I'm going to move out. Yeah, then you move out, and then you look up 2 or 3 weeks later, or a year later, or 2 years later, and you go, what the hell did I do that for? You don't see the kids, you don't see your wife, you don't know how to talk to her. She's having a great old time because your butt ain't around. And you get depressed, you get lonely, you don't know what to do, you start panicking, you get anxious. I'm sorry, man. Don't move out. Move to the basement or something. Move to another room, another bedroom or something, but don't move out. Learn how to connect. How to communicate with your wife so that you guys can at least be in the same house some kind of way. Because moving out, you can still save your marriage, and I've done it with many guys, but dude, once you move out, you in separate houses. It's hard. It's hard, okay? So that being said, that is the 10 for the day. So when we come back, we're going to have some final thoughts, and we are going to read these comments. And then I'm gonna go over the 10 again, and then we will be done. Thank you guys for hanging out with old Jerry today. Bam. Get live Catholic marriage help Tuesday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern. Live streamed on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and CatholicAlpha.com. If you're getting value from this podcast and would like more personal marriage help, visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com for an opportunity to work with me personally for free. Yes, within 30 days, learn how to become a better husband that attracts your wife back to you. Visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com and get a plan tailored specific to your marriage and situation. I've helped hundreds of men in their marriages. Allow me the chance to help you using my personal and gained experience. Visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com for superior coaching coaching for your marriage. Again, SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com. That's SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com to become the man God created you to be and the husband your wife needs. Lastly, I always get the question, why don't you help women? And I always answer them, I do. So, for all of you beloved wives out there that want to reignite that feeling of emotional closeness and complete love from your hubby, consider marriage coaching and visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com for an improved marriage within 30 days. All right, gentlemen, we are back. And so here we go. So let me read this comment real quick. It's a little jumbled, but I'm going to try to answer his question. Says, hi, Jerry. Love your show. Experiencing this with my wife, and women think with feelings, never the facts. Sure was a change. Never heard this from all the psychologists that you as a man need to feel how she feels and never the root. Is there something you follow for finances? And is there a book that you read that is great for marriage? Okay. So look, first of all, when the psychologist is talking about feel what she feels, what they really mean is you got to empathize with your wife because she's emotional and that's how she connects. So what that means is you can't be giving statements, you can't be giving your opinion, you can't be trying to solve and correct things, you can't be, dismissing her about her feelings and all that kind of stuff because all that does is upset her and she starts to think that you don't care. So when you hear someone say you got to feel what she feels, that just basically means you must be empathetic and try to understand and put yourself in her situation. So one of the things that we talk about all the time on this show and in my program is you must learn to look at the marriage from your wife's point of view as well as your point of view. Then you will understand your marriage a lot better. And one of the questions you always ask yourself to keep yourself on track and in the game is, if I was my wife, would I marry me again? Like, if you were your wife, would you marry you again? And if the answer is no, that's how you know you need marriage. You got serious marriage problems. You really do. The other thing is, if you never the root of finances, yes, of course. If you're having financial problems, if that's one of the problems, I think it's what you're saying for finances. Do I know anything about? Do I know a good resource for finances? Yes, Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey has these counselors that'll help you. They're not that expensive, um, but of course they're different prices, whatever. And then his program, you buy a program. You go to there are churches that put his program on, so to help you learn how to finance, finance your marriage and things like that. And then a book that you read that is great for marriage. So the thing about books is they're books. Okay. Most books don't give you step by step what to do. They just give you a philosophy, you know. And even if it does give you step by step, it's hard for you to implement it. Why? Because it's hard. So this is why you hear me saying if you could read if you could read a book and it would solve your marriage problems, I would say yeah, read this book. But there's no book out there that's going to help you solve your marriage problems. It's not. What you need to do is you need marriage help in conjunction with a marriage book. So basically, you get with a marriage coach that understands how to bring you and your wife together and gives you action steps and a plan. And then the books are like what? The books are like textbooks that you reference and you read to help um, to help combine with the coaching program that you're in. That's how you use reading material. Just reading like look at the internet right now. You can go on the internet and find answers to all kind of problems, cars, relationships, whatever. But that's it's not in depth enough to really teach you anything. See, people what the problem with people these days, especially when it comes to to religion, marriage, raising their kids, the most relationship with God. They think that church stuff like that should be free. They really do. You got a wife, a man has a wife that's filed for divorce, don't talk to him, and the kids hate him and disrespect him. And they think I should just go out and I could get that solved for free. Man, there's no way in hell you can solve that for free. It's not. You can't solve that. That's too in depth. That's too involved. That's too complicated. People will go to their pastor, and these days, priests and pastors, you know what they do? They say, go to marriage counseling because I don't want to deal with it or I don't know how. But they'll go to their pastor and meet with him 15, 20, 30 times and don't pay the man one thing. You know why? Well, he's a priest. He's a pastor. He's supposed to help me for free. See, that's the mindset of us today. That's the mindset of us, man. Dude, this a man is trying to help you fix the most important relationship in your life, and you don't want to pay him? You think it should be free? Sure, you get some things for free, but when you start getting into it and you really want to get help, you got to come out your pocket. And number two, you got to put some hard work into stuff. So this is what I'm saying, that with a book is just what it is. It's a book. It's a valuable resource, but it's like a textbook. You must use it in conjunction with a program that you already are, so that the book reinforces the program and the program reinforces the book, just like if you're in college or high school or middle school or elementary school. Okay? All right. So I hope that helped. Another thing he says, I find that the longer we are in marriage, I hear of couples around is that look up the happy couple and try to emulate what you have. Right. So basically, one of the things you do, every married couple should have a mentor couple. So what is that? A mentor couple is a couple that they are at where you want to be. Now, look, nobody's perfect or close to perfect, but they're trying to be. So for a Catholic, for a Christian, your mentor couple should look like this. They go into mass every Sunday. They go into church every Sunday, right? They're praying. They're together. When you see them, they look happy, or they hold hands. They do things together. Their kids look happy, and their kids are manifold, you know. And then what that does is, okay, when they're godly, right? If they're not going to church every Sunday, that means that person, they're going to eventually have marriage problems, or they do have marriage problems. You just don't see it. Okay. Another thing is, the reason you have a mentor couple is what you do is you approach the mentor couple and you say, look, sometimes they're the same age as you. Most times they're older than you, but there are a couple that you respect. And it could even be your parents. Okay. Not parents that are together, not parents that divorced. Okay. And so what you do is you and your wife approach the mentor couple, you ask to come over, and you ask them, you tell them what you want. Like, if we just want someone that we could bounce things off of when we have problems in our marriage and we can't seem to come together, and blah, blah, blah. And then the couple agrees to be your mentor couple, or they don't. Most people will. Okay. So then guess what? When your wife has problems with you, she goes to talk to the wife of your mentor couple. When you as a husband have problems with your wife, or you want to bounce something off somebody, you go and talk to the husband of the mentor couple. And the reason that's a good thing is because both of you have agreed that these people we're going to talk to when we have issues. What does that do? That prevents your wife from getting all this feminazi support of, leave him, he ain't worth nothing. If I was you, I wouldn't take that from him. If I was you, I'd divorce him. If I was you, I'd found an annulment. If I was you, I'd take the kids and move to Hawaii. That kind of satanic stuff. When she goes and talks to the mentor couple wife, she'll say, girl, hang in there, pray for him, try to get him that'll help him change, and she can bounce things off of and get some perspective. And the same with the man. And that's why most people that are in the marriage business, they suggest that everybody get a mentor couple. Now they're hard to find, okay? But if you try and you and your wife agree, you'll see, man, it will help you a lot. Okay, so there you go, Mr. Andy. I hope that helped you. I hope that helped you guys today too. So what we're gonna do real quick is we are going to let me see how I get rid of this. Yeah. What we're going to is review the 10 that we went over today of the 72 reasons that you need marriage coaching. So number 31 was you are having an emotional affair. Number 32, you're having a physical affair. Number 33, your wife doesn't want to spend time with you. Number 34, your wife doesn't talk to you or has shut down. Number 35, your wife doesn't go to mass or church anymore. Number 36, you are in a sexist marriage. Number 37, your wife is in premenopause or is in menopause. Number 38, your wife has asked for a divorce or has hired a lawyer. Number 39, you and your wife are not best friends. And number 40, if your wife has asked you to move out. All right, fellas, that is what we have for today. You gentlemen have a great weekend. And what we're going to do is we're going to end like we always do with a quote from Pope Benedict XVI, which states, society offers you comfort, but you weren't made for comfort. You were made for greatness, gentlemen. Now go forth, Christian soldier. The spiritual fight is upon you. Fast, pray, and prepare for battle. Thank you for listening in today. If what you heard helped you in any way and you would like more personal attention, visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com for superior marriage coaching. And remember to join the Catholic Alpha Radical Live podcast as a caller or listener every Tuesday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern. To join as a caller, dial area code 313-RADICAL. To join as a listener or view the live stream, visit the Catholic Alpha Radical Live Facebook page or visit CatholicAlpha.com for Catholic marriage help that actually works. Bam!